And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of January 29th, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Breathe deeply, get in touch with your inner self, and tap into all that energy. Aha! You think I'm talking about yoga, but it's really about cars. When I come back, I'll rev you up.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Top performance in humans and in cars depends on oxygen intake. But how do you know if your car's getting enough? That's the job of close pin-sized gadgets called oxygen sensors. When in tip-top shape, these monitors measure oxygen in the exhaust, then signal onboard computers to adjust fuel-air ratios in the engine for complete combustion. But worn sensors give faulty cues, resulting in poor performance, higher emissions, and lower gas mileage. So check out those sensors. Then you and your car can breathe easy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Winter vacations. Skiing, sledding, hot chocolate in the lodge. But no such luck for transmission repair technicians. When I come back, I'll tell you why winter snowstorms keep transmission shops busy.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Transmission shops are busiest after a heavy snowstorm because, think about it. What do we do when we're stuck in snow? If you said rock our cars back and forth from low gear to reverse, you're right. Unfortunately, for our cars and our wallets, we rock way too hard, resulting in overheated automatic transmissions and damaged universal joints. So the next time you're stuck in snow, easy does it. And remember, if you're really stuck, a tow truck may be cheaper than a new transmission. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. When I say clean air, what comes to mind? Green meadows, ocean breezes, oxygen bars? Well, forget that and stay tuned, because when I come back, I'll tell you about some smoking clean air.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A better place than an oxygen bar to suck in clean air is the racetrack. Clean air is a racing term for undisturbed air, the kind the lead driver enjoys when there's no one in front of him. So he cuts through the atmosphere like an aerodynamic knife through butter. On the other hand, dirty or turbulent air created when race cars are bunched together makes cars hard to handle. They slide in corners and weave on straights, like your car behind semis on the highway. That's why drivers try to avoid the pack during a race, so they can enjoy the cleanest air of all afterward, during the smoking victory lap. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Boy Scouts learn it to earn their Eagle badges, and if you know it, you may save a few Eagles of your own on dollar bills. Be prepared. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Being prepared helps save two rare species, money and life. Every year, 1 in 11 Americans is involved in an accident. So listen up. Carry a jack, spare tire, jumper cables, and learn how to use them. Know what's in your insurance policy and who to call. Keep a card listing medical conditions and allergies. Invest in a cell phone. 911 services could be the stitch in time that saves 9 lives, that is. Go ahead, make your Scoutmaster proud. Earn your merit badge as a highway hero. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. More may be the plaintive cry of turbocharged consumers, but it's also the voice of your vehicle's engine. When I come back, I'll tell you what the automotive beast wants more of.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like consumers burn products and services and beg for more, so do vehicle engines burn gas and air and beg for more. And just like credit limits restrict buying power, so do limitations on number and size of cylinders reduce automotive power. Okay, so how do hungry engines get their power fix? Turbochargers. Here's how one works. Trapped exhaust air spins a turbine, which then turns an air pump, which compresses air. This squeezed air takes up less room, so more can be shoved into an engine's cylinders. When more air meets gas, kapow! More energy or horsepower is created. Thankfully, aftermarket turbochargers are readily available to feed the consumer beast. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Right along with us this hour, I say us because it's not only me that who will be on the air, but also Terry Sabiston from Daytona Beach. And earlier this month, if you are a regular Car Clinic listener, you may have heard Terry call in a couple of times and report from what's going on in Daytona Beach from the track. Well, today, all of the interviews that we've had with Terry and the upcoming reports all led to today. And today, this weekend, is the big deal. It is the real deal in Daytona. And if you're not at the Daytona International Racetrack, perhaps you can just... We'll put the eyes there for you. We'll paint a picture for you so that you can better understand how exciting and how tremendous the Rolex 24 can be. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, when your battery loses its power, you lose the ability to get out, get around, and get things done. When it's time for a replacement, you can trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They'll help you choose the Super Start battery that's an exact fit for your vehicle, whether it's a reliable economy, a hard-working premium, or a powerful extreme, at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Your calls when I come back. Terry Sabiston from our affiliate WNDB 1150 AM in Daytona Beach from the Daytona International Speedway. Don't go away. This car repair spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, I've seen just about everything imaginable in car repair, or so I thought, until a Lexus came in with a hard cold start issue. Of course, it ran perfectly when it arrived at the shop. But our service team ran tests, installed a new cam sensor from our local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. Car fixed, we thought. Turned out the new sensor reacted the same way when cold, hard starting. Bad new sensor? Nope. Upon closer inspection, we pinpointed the problem. Believe it or not, the aluminum cam cover was corroded underneath the new sensor, warping it slightly, which threw the cam sensor off target, interrupting its waveform. The car's computer thought the cam wasn't turning, hence no start. We resurfaced the spot on the cam cover, installed a replacement sensor, courtesy of our O'Reilly Parts professionals. And now the owner says his Lexus starts better than it had in years. This car repair spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. If you've had a car with a coolant leak, you know how expensive it can be. It's not usually the newer, higher-dollar vehicles that have leaks. It's the older vehicles, say $900 to $2,000 range, the cars we depend on for daily transportation and other vital tasks. If you're experiencing a coolant leak and the repair cost exceeds the value of your car, you don't necessarily have to take your car off the road. Try using K-Seal. We've seen our share of these in our shop where, before K-Seal, once a diagnosis was made of a leaking intake gasket, radiator, heater core, or head gasket, the car was sent for recycling and the owner had to purchase another. Before giving it up, try K-Seal. It's a pour-in solution that just may allow you to keep your car longer without spending more on repairs than the car is worth. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grown. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this hour kicked off. It's an exciting time. Quite candidly, I prefer to be in Daytona Beach right there with Terry, but that's just not going to happen today. It seems like that we all get tied up in our own lives and it's hard to get out of the house. So let's pull Terry into our house. Terry Sabiston, Motorsports Director for our affiliate WNDB 1150 AM in the Daytona Beach area, Ormond Beach, and I want to say hello before I allow Terry to get on the air because he's as hard to shut up as I am, and I say that with all due respect and loving. But I'll tell you, folks, in the Daytona Beach and the Ormond Beach area, I thank you so much for your participation and your acceptance for the past 26 years. It's been a great ride, and it continues to be. And speaking of rides, let's see what's going on the track. Terry, now I turn the mic to you, and it's my pleasure to welcome you in the house.
Good morning, Bobby. It's great to be in the house, and if I'm going to bring what I see into your house, you're going to need a really big house. Because right now, I'm here at Daytona International Speedway, and we actually have 39 Ferraris on track right now in the Ferrari Challenge.
Unbelievable.
And it's a total different sound from what we've had with all the other cars. It's more of a hum is a nice way to put it. It's just 39 Ferraris. Can you imagine?
No, it's really, I think for a lot of folks, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen 30, I've never seen any more than 3 Ferraris in one fell swoop, and that was at a Ferrari dealership in Palm Beach one time. But to have 30, almost 40 Ferraris on the track. Now, Terry, are all of those cars on the track?
Yes. Actually, I was listening on the, on the IMSA radio locally here at the track before I came on with you just to follow up, and 39 cars started this race. It's a 45-minute race. This is the second one they've had here as part of the Rolex 24 weekend. They run 2 Ferrari Challenge races. They ran one yesterday. They're running one right now, and they'll run 45 minutes. And these are Ferraris. You said you went to the dealership.
Yes.
Well, if you go to the dealership probably early in the week, during the week, throughout the year, you're going to find there is a Ferrari race team based at those dealerships, and that's what this is. These are all the Ferrari dealerships, and they come out here and race against each other, and they bring it their best, and it's just so much fun seeing that as just one part of what's going on here with the Rolex 24. So we're gearing up. This is like a warm-up. We had the BMW Endurance Challenge yesterday, and Spencer Pumpley and McVaren got out there with a Cayman Porsche and just laid some laps down and flat out did a great job at 106 laps and ended up in the front. I think the only time they weren't up front was for pit stops and gas and fuel and stuff, but worked their way back up front right there at the end. That was a fun race yesterday. You have everything from Porsches to Mustangs to Mini Coopers all in the same race, and it's a 4-hour endurance race. But what we're building up to is that little thing called the 24,
right.
The Rolex 24, coming up at 2:40 this afternoon, Bobby.
So the Rolex 24, how many cars on the track? And we covered this several weeks back, but I want to update all of our Car Clinic listeners. How many classes of cars will be on the 24? And folks, this is like think about getting in a race car or getting on a ride, because very few of us have been in race cars. I've been in a few, but getting on a ride at the fair and going around and round for 24, well, not the same driver for 24 hours, but I think, Terry, 3-hour stints and then they shift drivers? Is that the limit?
There is minimum stints. Maximum stints, I think you can pull 3, which is about 45 minutes, maybe 4, 45 minutes to a stint, depending on the car. But, we have 17 manufacturers. Think about that. In one race, we have set. I mean, that surpasses any other type of racing there is with just the number of manufacturers. You know, that's amazing. Then you think there's at least 3 and 4 drivers for each car, and we have 50 cars. So there's between 150 and 200 drivers and 50 cars in this race. And they're going for 24 hours.
And those and folks, 24 hours. This is rain or shine. And to me, Terry, these are the most Formula One cars are the most sophisticated cars on the planet, race cars. The Le Mans cars and the 24-hour Rolex, which is the same type of vehicle, are also the most sophisticated because, folks, think about this. These cars have headlights, windshield wipers, brake lights. They don't have turn signals, I don't think, but they do have all of the support that normally other race cars don't necessarily have to carry because no one's going to see you stepping on. I mean, NASCARs don't have lights at all. They just have route. but the bottom line, all of these circuits have to work because the car has to run for 24 hours, which means it has to have a charging system and a cooling system and headlights and windshield wipers and what have you. It's really interesting. Terry, have you ever been to a 24-hour Rolex where it rained in the middle of the night?
We don't mention the R word.
Oh,
We're not
okay.
talking about the R word, okay?
Yeah, okay.
That's a 4-letter word we don't say.
Oh.
And yes, I have, and I've had experiences of red flags for several hours through the heavy fog and rain, and that's part of it too. But we are looking good right now. The R word might come up tomorrow afternoon, maybe, but we're not going to talk about that, Eddie, because that's part of this. It doesn't stop. You know, there's nothing that stops this unless the fog gets so thick that it's not safe for them to run out there.
Right.
Or the rain gets to the point where it's puddling and it just doesn't make sense.
So
but
on the
track drives
backstretch,
quick. And
all right, a quick question. On the backstretch, we come out of the infield, we come up on number 1 turn, and then we swoop around, come out of number 2 and go down the backstretch. What's the maximum speed that those cars, the fastest of those cars, will reach?
Well, the prototypes, which is the fastest, they can hit around 200 miles an hour. They weigh right about 2,000 pounds and are running around 600 horsepower. So that gives you an idea of just the weight and the horsepower involved. And then the GT Le Mans, and this is the elite fastest GT cars. They top out at about 180. Their horsepower is 525, and they're pushing about 2,700 pounds. So these are the manufacturers that are showing off the car that you really can buy a stock car really close to what these things look like. And that's what's really the GT Daytonas is about. These are cars that are actually based on a production car. We're a production car, came off as a manufactured car and have been modified to be race cars. And they're pretty cool. They do 175 miles an hour top speed through there with 500 horsepower, and they're weighing about 2680 on weight. So there's some weight difference, there's power difference, and that's the thing, too. Your closing speeds, you figure 200 miles an hour and 175 miles an hour coming down and then suddenly braking going into that, what they call the bus stop, which the prototypes, their braking is, they don't need as much room to brake, and the GT guys do. So you're seeing somebody slowing down a lot faster than you need to, and avoiding that as you maneuver around the track for 24 hours. And that's the thing, is there's 50 cars out there. That's a lot of traffic.
So the 50 cars out there, they're running different speeds. They can slow at different maximum and minimum rates, and yet they all, not all, but certainly 1, 2, or 4 or more could reach the bus stop or the approach to the bus stop at the same time. That's when the jockeying really gets to be precarious, I guess is the word I'm looking for, but it's exciting, and it's exciting. It's a true spectator sport for me. I built rear engine drag racers and dragged a rear engine dragster, but that was not a spectator sport for me, as is NASCAR and the Formula cars and the Rolex 24. That is true art when you see those drivers get out there and not just go fast, but they go fast and slow and turn and jockey for position. It's really exciting. And what condition is the track in? Folks, we're talking with Terry Saveston, Motorsports Director for WNDB 1150 AM in Daytona Beach from the Daytona International Speedway, which, by the way, is really a stadium. It's not a simple speedway now. It is a stadium after a $400 million Daytona Rising renovation that started in 2013, and Terry, I think, was completed in 16.
Right, and we're still seeing improvements. One of them that we've seen here just for the Rolex is they put some new asphalt down out there on the south side of the road course. That is now, it looks like an auto show. You know how you go to auto show and they got these cars and showrooms and all that?
Right.
We've got our own. There's a 2-story building that has Mercedes up on podiums inside of it. It's a glass building that wasn't there a week ago. We have a high-end auto show going on in the infield, and the midway with a carnival going on, and then tonight the Spectator's True Dream, food and racing, the Taste of 24. So to show off the stadium, this is the place to be right now, and I'm loving every minute of it. Can you tell, Bobby?
Yeah, I can. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, that's about all the time that we have for this segment. Again, it's always exciting to me, and I get a lot of emails from our Car Clinic listeners that say, what a cool, it's almost like being there. Nothing's like being there. So, folks, you can go to Daytona International Speedway, 1-800-PIT SHOP. Pit Shop, isn't it? Yes.
Yep, you're correct.
And to get a ticket, but you can plan for that. And also, what's coming up in February. So we're going to have you back to give us information about the Daytona 500. But today and this weekend, it's the Rolex 24. Terry, thank you so much for always being and gracious with your time. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you. I'll let him get back to the track, and I'm going to get back to answering the phones, and Jim from Nebraska is in the queue. Today's vehicles have more than 150 electrical accessories for safety, comfort, and sustainability, 7 times the number 20 years ago. Only AGM batteries are precision engineered to meet this electrical demand by reliably supporting backup cameras, start-stop technology, and many other devices. AGM batteries have longer life than standard flooded batteries and will not spill acid during installation or during an accident. When you need a new battery, insist on an AGM battery to meet today's evolving electrical needs.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
I have another vehicle repair to spotlight. A 99 Jeep Cherokee came into the shop recently with a P0303 misfire fault on cylinder number 3. The misfire was erratic, which made diagnosing the problem more difficult. Other shops had thrown parts at it, installing new plug wires, plugs, fuel injector, and some technical service bulletin updates. Nothing worked. We used a borescope, a type of inside-the-engine camera, to inspect the number 3 cylinder, and sure enough, saw heavy carbon deposits around the exhaust valve. No traditional cleaner will work on a carbonized exhaust valve. Enter Berryman Products B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. We removed the plug, brought the piston around so the exhaust valve was just opening, and filled the cylinder with Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. After an overnight soak, we siphoned out the chemical and replaced the plug. Now, several weeks since the repair, and no reported problems, thanks to Berryman. Find more automotive repair and maintenance solutions at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We'll go right to the phones, and let me give you the number if you'd like to call. We have several calls in the queue, and I want to thank Jim for holding. He was early on, and also I want to thank our good friend Terry Sabiston from Daytona Beach again. Always does a great job. I have ridden around the track with Terry, not in a race car, but at 130 miles an hour, so that's pretty fast when you're going 130 and you got to turn left. I don't know what it's like to go 230 and turn left, but that's it's not for me to worry about because I won't be there. 888-227-2546. Write that down. Well, that's 888 Car Clinic, and then you can do the math if you want to go through that litany. But I'll make it easier for you at 888-227-2546. Jim from Nebraska, I thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I'm that former state senator that you was with on KGFW at the Kappa convention in Kearney.
I do remember you. How could I forget? How have you been, sir?
I've been great. Life is great, when you can do the things you want to do.
Well, I think about that, and business, of course, being in the automotive service and repair business, the 50, 60 hours a week, it is really, it has evolved into a technological, mechanical challenge. And to that end, we're finding that engines and electronics can work together, but in order to really deliver services to our customers and our clients, we have to know mechanics, we have to know technology and computers and see how they work together. And that really is a challenge because you can't just flip a switch and fix a car. Now, I noticed on the screen that Miss Hannah took your information, and you have a 16 Dodge Ram, and all I see is it shuts down while driving. So share with me exactly what it does, and also, is the check engine light on or has it been on?
Well, the throttle, there's a light that comes on, the throttle sensor valve or something like that, electronic sensor throttle flashes on. But what happens, I don't know if I'm a left foot braker, I put my foot on the brake with my left foot, my right foot on the throttle, and somebody said that probably shouldn't be. But my question is, should that vehicle, it will just stop. And I made an illegal U-turn on the middle of Highway 30 the other day, and the darn thing stopped when I was crossways in the road. That's not good.
Okay, quick question. Senator, quick question. When you made that U-turn, if you remember, how much fuel was in the gas tank, or do you remember?
I keep it about half full at least.
Okay. Well, the reason that I asked that is, number one, you obviously missed a turn, so you slowed down and made a U-turn.
Right.
And if the fuel was low in the tank, then I would say, okay, we have a fuel starvation momentary problem. But if you have a half a tank, then that equation is not there. I will ask a quick question. Does the gas gauge work like it always has, and it works correctly?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
This has happened probably 10 times to me, so it's not a unique situation.
Okay. Well, here's what has to happen. Well, then let's go back to the check engine light. You do have a check engine light, even though it's not on all the time. You have had the check engine light to come on. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. For your information, there is a code, a trouble code. I started to say there's a person in your car, but it's not. But there's a widget in your automobile, in your Dodge Ram, that has information that you and I would need to decode and to determine what first steps to take. Now, even if the check engine light is not on, the fact that it came on means that whatever system caused that light to flash or to come on, it retained in its memory. Now, and of course, in the earlier days, you could disconnect the battery and clear the codes, and it would clear the memory, which wasn't a good thing, because if your light came on and you cleared the memory, and then you went to a service shop because it came back on or because it still didn't run correctly, all the good information, the track record, the history, the medical records, let's say, were gone. In your case, we do have performance records or medical records, and those records can be extracted from the computer using a professional scan tool. Now, I'm not talking about a parts department, a $35 handheld phone scan tool that reads codes. We don't want to just read the code. What you want to do is go to a service shop and have them not only read the code, but get into the architecture of the computer. And just, Jim, for you to know, there's a gatekeeper there. There's like a moderator, you know, in the House or at the Senate. There's there's protocol, and that gatekeeper will not allow a code reader to go beyond the reading of the codes. It's like saying, "Hey, there's a house on. There's a smoke coming from that house over there. Where's the fire?" Well, until you get in the house, you don't know where the fire is. The same thing is true for onboard computers. Until you can get into and access the electronic architecture, which means getting past the gatekeeper, which means that you have to have a professional scan tool to do that. You cannot read the codes and or activate the systems that may have caused that code. So I said all that to say that I do believe that you could have a throttle body issue, but it's a 16 model automobile. So how many miles on the car? On the
It's
truck?
under 20. It's under 20.
Okay. Have you been to the dealer with this?
I just vaguely told him about it once, but I haven't not been back as a service call. No.
Okay. Well, here's what I say. Although that could be a dangerous situation, especially as you described, what I prefer that you do and what I suggest that you do, if it's anywhere near time to change the oil and service the engine, is to take it in and have them to scan the codes. Because even, again, reiterate, even if the light is not on and the system hasn't failed in the past week, there will be a code that refers to that failure historically. You got it?
You bet. Have you ever had this circumstance where you ride your brake when you got your throttle, your accelerator pressed?
So I have to make this short, but Cliff, so in New Mexico, you stay with me, and folks, you stay with me. In 1970, I was service manager for a Lincoln Mercury dealership. I was a young guy, maybe the youngest in Ford history. And there was a gentleman that came in to get his new Lincoln serviced, and I took him downtown as a courtesy. And his name was Reuben O.D. Askew, and you may remember he was a governor of Florida.
Right. I knew.
Yes.
I met him.
At that time, he wasn't a governor. He was an attorney locally here with the Levin firm, which is the second most successful firm in the United States. And Fred Levin was the mastermind behind the tobacco lawsuit in the state of Florida. They're all right here in Pensacola. So I drove him. Myself. I took off work, and my assistant covered the door. I drove Senator Askew or Attorney Askew to the office. I used my left foot and right foot. I've always done that, and he. Only person that's ever ridden with me, and he made a statement. We got 5 blocks down the road. He said, "I see you use your left foot, right foot," and I was surprised that he noticed. Of course, if he's like me, he maybe he's nervous riding with other people. I am. To that end, I said, "That's correct. I do that." "Why do you do that?" he says. I said, "Because the reaction time to move your right foot to the brake pedal in a case of an emergency is not possible. It's not compared to having your foot already on the brake." And I think I learned that, Jim, in my early days when I was a car jockey for a dealership, Wood Chevrolet in Birmingham, Alabama, which is where I was born and reared before I moved to Chicago and then to Florida. But the bottom line is, when you're moving a car and you only have inches to go and you're trying to park it, and we were doing we had 100 stalls. It was a huge dealership in Birmingham, and I would move cars. I was a young guy. I would use the left foot, right foot, so I could inch forward, inch back, inch forward, inch back, and it became a habit. And to this day, and I can specifically know that a couple of years ago, I visited a friend of mine in Augusta, Georgia, and stayed the night, came out of the hotel, and started to turn right because the road was clear. And the person that was in the middle lane pulled over in the right lane, and when I started to pull out, because I saw that this vehicle was in the left lane and wasn't in my lane, so I pulled out, said, well, he's in the left lane, I'll pull out in the right lane. When I started to pull out, flashed before my eyes that he had pulled over into the right lane, and I nailed the brakes, and only because, and it's a fact, and I specifically never forget this, it was raining, it was dark and a dreary day, and et cetera, and I nailed the brake and brought my car to a halt, maybe a foot and a half away from the side of his body. It would have been my fault, and I'll never forget that. So I will tell you, you stay with that habit. That's a great habit, and it keeps your response time to nil. And folks, I hope you understand exactly what the senator here is talking about, because that's a good driving habit if you can master it.
Great minds think alike. Thanks, Bobby. Hey, come. I really appreciate your thoughts, and come to Kearney sometime. Remember, you were here for the Kappa thing, and all that.
I will do that. I will do that, and we shall see each other again then. Until then, I wish you well, and have a great, fantastic 2018. And again, when you go to the dealer, even if the check engine light is not on, not to worry, because whatever caused it is recorded and will be there until the machine is reset. The codes are cleared by a professional scan tool. You got it?
Gotcha. Hey,
okay.
And by the way, your receptionist is a very nice lady.
Well, I will tell Miss Hannah that. She just has a big smile on her face. I thank you so much. Always great to hear from you.
She really is. Gotcha.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, we'll take a call. We'll go from Kearney, Nebraska. But before we go to Cliff, who is in New Mexico, a very interesting gentleman, by the way, Cliff, and also we have on the phone with us Carl Zipfel, and Carl is a GMC exterior design manager for General Motors, of course. Carl's a really neat guy. We had arranged for him to check in from the International Auto Show, and so he's going to be with us, and then Cliff is going to be with us from New Mexico. Carl's in Detroit, Cliff's in New Mexico. Where are you? Well, if you're not in the queue, you should be. Hannah will take your calls, the Miss Nice Hannah. Congratulations, Hannah. Senator Jim from Kearney appreciated your demeanor. That she does have a great demeanor. We'll have to fix that. Okay, 888-227-2546. Back with Carl Zipfel, and then Cliff from New Mexico, and your calls at 888-227-2546. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you're going to love us. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Get ready to call 888 Car Clinic so I can help you solve your car challenges, and we all have those. Meanwhile, continued news from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. On the hotline with me is Carl Zipfel, GMC Exterior Design Manager. What a great job that must be. Carl, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Well, thanks for having us, Bobby. I appreciate it.
The GMC is starting in 2018 on a higher note, coming off an extraordinary month in December. So, Carl, if you would share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers what you see as being the lead driver for the recent growth with the GMC brand of premium trucks and SUVs.
Yeah, I think it's a direct result of the customer demand, really. It's what we're seeing out in the market in this country. I think GMC, we're a unique brand within the General Motors family because we don't design or sell cars. We focus on trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. And our whole positioning is about being premium and delivering engineering and design excellence. So I think those things are resonating with our customer, and that's really driving the demand for our vehicles. Like you said, coming off a great year, starting 2018 off great. And, yeah, we're just real excited to be down here at the North American International Auto Show showing off all our great products.
Yeah, I understand, Carl, that GMC is showing off a unique concept, and the key word is concept truck in Detroit this year. It's as I understand, a 2018 GMC Sierra 2500 HD all-mountain concept, a one-of-a-kind snow climbing machine. Talk about the idea behind this vehicle, Carl, and what sets this truck apart from other off-road vehicles.
Yeah, sure. So this one was real fun for us. We wanted to celebrate a recent announcement that we just made. It's a partnership with Vail and Vail Ski Resorts. And so knowing the kind of terrain and capability that it takes to conquer that terrain, we thought it was a perfect fit for our GMC Sierra. So really start off with a production GMC Sierra 2500 HD, as you said. And the first thing we do is lift the vehicle up. It gets a 6-inch lift. And we take all the tires and wheels off and replace them with a track system made by Matrax, a partner of ours. And really, that is the heart of the concept. Made that up to our powerful Duramax diesel and Allison transmission, and the ingredients are there to have a vehicle that really can take you where no other vehicle can. You know, backcountry of Colorado, in the Rockies, it takes you to some incredible spots that certainly no vehicle with wheels or tires could get to.
I hope that this vehicle leads into a deliverable vehicle, because a lot of concepts are just that, concepts. And I realize that that's what the show is a lot about, is to show your new wares and to see the reaction. We're talking with Carl Zipfel, GMC Exterior Design Manager from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. So let's talk about the all-mountain vehicle. What powers this vehicle? You mentioned the Allison transmission and the diesel engine, but tell us a little more about the snow tracks, or how it reaches up the mountains.
Yeah, okay. So the tracks are made by a company called Matt Tracks. It's their 150 series tracks. So we mate that up with our, like you said, our Duramax diesel and Allison transmission. So we're pumping out about 445 horsepower, 910 foot-pounds of torque. So that's just an amazing, powerful powertrain. That's really what it takes to drive this track system and then climb the kind of elevation that we're talking about in the areas that this vehicle can get you back into. So, yeah, really exciting vehicle. Besides the heart of that powertrain and the tracks, we've outfitted this vehicle with some of our authentic GM accessories. So we've got a number of racks on it that you can put snowboards and skis. We have a graphic package that we did that highlights our partnership with Vail. There's a kicker amplifier and dual pod speaker kit mounted on the exterior of the vehicle in the back of the pickup box.
That's way.
So all kinds of, this vehicle's all about fun, and really for us, the concepts are fun, but it really is a vehicle that's based on a production vehicle, and the mat tracks are available for purchase to the public also. So anyone could build this vehicle up right now and experience the kind of capability that a GMC Sierra can provide.
Just one final question, Carl. Outside of the auto show circuit, I understand this will be traveling around with different shows and the shows coming up in Chicago and other shows, but can Car Clinic listeners and viewers and consumers at large, can they see the GMC all-mountain concept in action anywhere this winter season?
Yeah, it'll be on display at Vail throughout the year, and then we also have a number of videos out there that show it driving around and conquering the kind of terrain that we're talking about. So definitely, they could see the videos at media.gmc.com. It'd be a great way to go see all the great GMC products that we have to offer and see the all-mountain in action.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us on Car Clinic Network today. One of the final statements that I'd like to make is, of all of my years of comparing trucks, and you've got the GMC and you have the Chevrolet truck and you have the Dodge and the Ford trucks, the GMC has a certain, I don't know, it's a classy looking vehicle. So hats off to you and your team for finding whatever it takes to be just one step ahead. So congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today.
Oh, Bobby, thank you so much for the compliments. Thanks for having us today. Look forward to seeing everyone down at the auto show.
And we'll take another call. What I meant to say and what I politically correct said, what I really like. Actually, I think the GMC far outclasses the regular Chevrolet-looking vehicles, although we know they're the same body, the same running gear, and what have you. But the GMC does have a unique, for instance, the grille of the GMC is one of my favorite, and I'm not necessarily a truck guy. Let's go to New Mexico, take a call from Cliff, and then to Arkansas. Take a call from Jim, and your calls at 888-227-2546. And I want to remind you folks that our partnership with the Car Care Council really allows me to share with you information that will help you save money. Keep your car in your garage versus in my garage or in a service shop. If you're traveling this winter season, remember the 3 Ps: prepare, prevent, and plan, which will save you money and avoid breakdowns. This information courtesy of the Car Care Council. For more information and to find a schedule of maintenance specifically for your car, go to carcare.org. Meanwhile, let's go to New Mexico. Cliff, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house again.
Well, hello there, Bobby. It's been a while since the blind guys talked to you.
Well, so, and folks, this is a blind mechanic.
I would have never noticed you.
You're the only blind mechanic I know. So let me ask you a question. How do you inspect a rotor to see if it needs a machine or not?
What's that, sir?
How do you use your hands to inspect visuals that I use when I'm looking at an automotive part? Because, folks, this is the only technician that I'm aware of that is trained, experienced, and successful as being, and he's blind, so that's a challenge. So just give us just a brief what it's like.
Well, what I do is I feel around the motor, and then I feel for oil leaks, like brailing, like doing a braille of something, like on a braille paper or reading something. So oil is like a reading to know where a leak is. on a oil line or around the valve covers or around the oil pan. And if the seals are not properly sealed, or they're getting rotted or dry rotted or whatever through years of age, you could feel all that to know where a leak is actually coming from. And you could feel a fresh leak compared to an old leak, like old dried up oil.
Right.
And if you get over to the other side, you may feel a little bit of fresh leak somewhere that's been leaking in the past, and you may be able to find your indication of where that leak is coming from through the years. There's a difference between fresh and old around the front seals, the rear seals, things like that, and around the tranny. You'll be able to feel things without looking at through a light. Sometimes seeing something is more different than feeling it.
Well, I admire you, and I congratulate you, and I applaud you. So let's get back then to your question of the day. Well, how may I help you?
Well, Bobby, I've been in college for 4 years back in, graduated in 2013. And, the question is about synthetic oils, because I'm getting ready to change my own oil out of this vehicle. I'm getting ready to pull it away from the dealership and do it myself. It's pretty expensive. It's about over $80 or more just for doing the oil and all that.
Right.
And so what I'm looking at is I've heard you say this before about molecules. You need to find an oil that has that has molecules that are the same size. Because sometimes when molecules are not the same size, you may get more on one side than you would another of a piston or valves or whatever part of the engine. And so what I'm looking at is changing the oil out myself, but I need something that can, because this car has almost 57,000 miles on it.
Right.
And I figured, you know what, I could do this myself. I could crawl up underneath it. It's high enough to get my head up underneath there. I pull out the plug and change it and put a new filter in it and go from there and let it go.
Right.
But that's the thing is I need to find out what kind of oil to use so it's balanced on all four sides. And it does, because this engine gets a lot of work in. It's a 2015. It's hard to get that many miles on it. And my wife uses it every day for work. And she's a nurse, so she has to go from one place to another constantly. So that's what I'm looking at, is something that, like, and I've used Royal Purple before in other vehicles that you have recommended, which has been really good. But this is a 2.5 liter 4, so that's why I'm trying to move away from the dealership now and kind of moving on from there.
Okay,
to
Cliff.
Figure out what kind of oil can I actually use.
So let me ask you a question: is it a turbo 4 or is it a non-turbo? Is it
what? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is it a turbocharged 4 or a non-turbo?
It's non-turbo, and it's a two-wheel drive.
Okay, so that's considered light duty, and just for you to know, you do not have to use synthetic oil. In other words, the turbocharged 4-cylinders, you would necessarily use synthetic oil always, and the reason for that is that synthetic oil can withstand more heat, and synthetic oils flow more smoothly than conventional oils. And just so that you'll be educated with regard to my statement about molecules, the base stock, see, every quart of oil has anywhere from 75 to 85% base stock, which means that's the original oils that is used to make the synthetic oil. So whether it's Mobil 1, fully synthetic, or it's Royal Purple synthetic, the base stock would be the same. And the same is, for all intents and purposes, it's conventional oil that has been reformulated and modified or processed. I started to say refined, but processed, so that all the molecules are the same size. So if we had we had castor oil, we had Mobil 1, we had Royal Purple, we had any other, and I can't think of other names right now. No sense to name them all. But the bottom line is the base stock is going to be relatively the same. And that base stock has molecules that are all the same size versus a conventional oil that has a hodgepodge of molecules. And to better illustrate that, if you had a basket of fruit and you had cherries and apples and strawberries and a grapefruit and a watermelon, and you poured the fruit out of the basket, it would not flow evenly, and the watermelon, when it got to the edge, it would just clump over. So base stocks would all be of synthetic the same size, so you'd have all cherries or you'd have all apples, so that the pouring rate, the flow rate, i.e. back into oils, the flow rate is more smooth and will flow faster and more evenly through an engine. That is why, forget all the brands of synthetic oil, that is the reason synthetic oil is demanded in very cold climates, because it will flow smoothly, and it's called pumpability. And you know, an engine, our hearts have a run all the time, whether we're awake or asleep or moving or not, or we die. An engine's heart, its oil pump, only runs after it's awake and running. So the engine has moving parts that are working before those parts ever get oiled. So you have to have a film of oil left over from the power down, which they do, and then you have to have fast, immediate oil to work the hydraulic lifters and to lubricate the top regions of the engine in cold climates, or in hot weather, because the hot weather is tougher on an engine as is cold weather. Now, having said all that, it is not necessary for you to use synthetic oil in a two-wheel drive, four-cylinder automobile, given the fact that there are some really good oils. An example, Mobil 1 it's not all synthetic. Mobil 1 has a regular oil that is a great oil, a superior oil. So from a cost-effective standpoint, you could use the Mobil 1 superior, oil, but not synthetic, and save a ton of money. You could cut your cost from $80 to probably $22, including the filter, or $20 maybe, especially. So here's what I recommend you do. I recommend you investigate, and you go online and do this, and look at the Mobil 1 or Castrol or Valvoline. Valvoline makes a DuraBlend that they made years ago that's a blend of synthetic, and virtually they took the same non-synthetic base stock, and they used synthetic additives and they called it DuraBlend. And I'm not even sure, because I haven't used that oil in years, but I used it for years and I had no problems. So I said all that to say that check your options, because if you change your oil, if your wife drives this car every day and puts a lot of miles on it, and you drive 15,000 miles a year, you can go 7,000 miles to 7,500 miles on an oil change, and you can do that with a non-synthetic oil just as easy as synthetic with the 2.0 non-turbocharged engines, because you don't have to worry about the heat and the wear of the internal turbocharger. Cliff, thank you for your call. Great question, folks. I'll be back.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Now through January 30th, you could win one of more than 17,000 prizes in the O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card giveaway, powered by Valvoline. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today, pick up a game card, and follow the entry instructions to see if you're one of 500 lucky gift card winners each day. No purchase necessary. See O'ReillySweeps.com for official rules and details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold
I want to
day.
be a football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with like new condition Lemulls. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join me every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. We broadcast from the Car Clinic studios. We call it from the center of the automotive universe. And folks, the studio is really a cool studio. The floor weighs about 10,000 pounds, and it's literally like if you've ever had a hearing test performed in a hospital or an outpatient clinic, this is indeed the epitome of one of those rooms, because the walls are 4 inches thick and it's all insulated, and it's a great place for me to work, if you can call this work. I'll take your calls. We'll talk about cars. You can ask me any question that you have, whether you have a concern or not. One of the important things that you need to know is how to communicate with your local service shop so that you can get the biggest bang for your buck. So when you go in, you don't tell them what's wrong, but you explain what your car's doing that you don't like, and let them then put them on the driver's seat and say, okay, now it's up to you to tell me what my car needs. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Super Chips and the new Flash Pack F5 Performance Tuners. You can add horsepower in minutes without even turning a wrench. Drive to superchips.com for more information. That's superchips.com. Your calls at 888-227-2546 when I come back. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you're going to love us. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries, including which vehicles are the best candidates for this type of battery. Let's hear from Joe.
Well, there are many different types of everyday vehicles that could be a good candidate, from soccer moms to landscape vehicles to different types of hot rods that really would work well with an AGM battery. Many of these vehicles include extensive electrical features, which really place greater emphasis on the demand for the battery. Additionally, if you purchase aftermarket accessories, such as infotainment systems or even lights, you may require a more advanced battery, such as our AGM. Lastly, where and how you drive your vehicle can really impact the battery performance. So for example, if you live in a climate that gets really hot or cold during our summers or winters, our AGM battery will perform better than standard flooded batteries under these conditions.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's cars. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Diablo Sport Tuning Systems give you the ability to easily boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. But don't take my word for it. PSCA racer Alex Rosio has been using Diablo Sport products on her Dodge Magnum since the beginning of her racing career. According to Alex, Diablo Sport tuners have been an essential part of her success. There really isn't a better line of products that offer quick tuning and diagnostics. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. And while you're there, check out the new Intune i3 Performance Programmer. That's DiabloSport.com.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. A little later in this segment, if I have the time, I'm going to put the callers first. I'm going to share with you a story about an oil leak repair on a 2006 Mercedes diesel, and it's a V6, I think 300. I'm not sure of the size of the engine, but this vehicle had 99,000 miles and had been leaking oil for some time out of the rear main or off the bottom of the transmission, we thought. But upon closer inspection, we found the issue, and I'll share that with you. So if you're driving a Mercedes diesel, it's not a question of if you will have this oil leak, it's a question of when, because the seals that we used were updated by Mercedes-Benz. It's a great story, one you want to hear. But first, for a gentleman that's had been on the wait queue for a long time from Arkansas, Jim, thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You've been with us, so you're first out.
Well, thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you taking my call.
You're welcome.
I've got a 2014 Cadillac XTS, and I purchased it about a year ago, pre-owned, and it only had 12,000 miles on it, so it was about 3 years old when I bought it. And so very low mileage. It idles rough, sitting at a stoplight. It'll just sit there and just shake, not violently, but it's enough you really notice it. I've had it to the dealer twice, and they don't seem to be able to, or haven't found what it is. First time that I don't know what they did. The second time they claimed that the duct that goes from the air cleaner to the throttle body was cracked and was allowing air leakage, but they did that and it made no difference. So just wondering if you have any ideas, if there's any product that I can use that might straighten this out.
Well, Jim, a quick question. Does the check engine light come on, or did it ever come on?
No, I've never gotten a code, no lights and codes.
Okay. Well, that to me, what we have to do is we have to, what my job here is to try to determine if you have an electronic issue that is causing this problem, or if you have a mechanical issue. And a mechanical issue, electronic would of course trigger 99 times out of 10 would trigger the check engine light. So you don't have one. And just because the light is not on, Jim, doesn't mean that there's not a trouble code in the vehicle. Having said that, the dealer surely, and this is a kind of a to-do for you if what I'm about to share with you doesn't correct a problem, but I'm going to assume by your statements with the check engine light never having come on that you've got a mechanical issue. And that mechanical issue, given the nature of engines today, is no doubt a carbon problem. Because if an engine runs well to start, I mean, in most engines, I can't think of any instances where we had a brand new car that had 25,000 or less miles on it, or 15,000 or less miles on it, depending if it had been driven for like 3,000 or 4,000 miles a year, then you've got age. But I can't think of any car that would idle roughly when it's new, because it has clean valves, it has all new components, and most of the time, if there is a problem with the engine, the original owner of that vehicle would have experienced that, and it would have been corrected by the dealer. So having said that, I'm going to assume that you've got a carbon buildup. You can use an injector cleaner, and it's what I would recommend for you, given the fact that you've been to the dealer. I'm not saying this is going to correct your vehicle, but we've used this product. It's made by Berryman, and it's Berryman Products, and Berryman Products is not a Johnny-come-lately. This company has been around a long time, and even years before I was on Bobby Likis Car Clinic and created this program, we used their transmission additive, and especially in Chryslers. There seemed to be some marriage between Berryman and Chrysler, and I was always impressed by the fact that an aftermarket chemical manufacturer made a product that a car maker would endorse, because that doesn't happen. And it just really doesn't happen. So the Berryman B12 Chem Tool is a product, and you have a pen, or can you write that down?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm familiar with it. I hadn't thought of it, but that's yeah, and that will. There's no chance that would void the warranty or anything. It's still under factory warranty.
No, and that's the good news. See, because everybody uses. I mean, you know, a lot of the chemicals in the aftermarket, in for those of us in the professional industry, we call them pour and pray. I mean, owners will have check engine lights in cars that run lousy and they really have some serious issues, and they'll buy a bottle of stuff and pour it in a tank and pray that it fixes the car. We call them pour and prays. So we selectively know which chemicals work because we use them in our shop, and we recommend them. And the Berryman B12 Chem Tool is a chemical that we do use, I have used, and as I said, I've used their transmission additive for 40 years. So I would say to you to add that to your vehicle. You can follow the directions, and quite candidly, I would make sure that I had no more than a half a tank of fuel, so you'll get more like a double dose versus a single dose. And then don't add that chemical to the tank of gas that you are going to take a trip on, because what you want to do is you want to drive the vehicle in short bursts, like around town. If you're going to be in town for the next 2 weeks and you know it, then you add the Chem Tool, B12 Chem Tool, to the tank, to like a half a tank, and then you dissolve the carbon during the engine running, and then at nighttime when you put it to bed, that solvent in that chemical will dissolve another layer of carbon, and when you crank it up in the morning, it will wash away harmlessly. And if you do that multiple times, which you cannot do if you put it in and drive from Arkansas to Kansas. I mean, you know, you just can't do that. I mean, you could, but it won't work as well. And I want you to get the biggest effect and the biggest bang for the buck. And then I want you to call me back and report to me how your car ran afterwards. Will you do that?
I definitely will, sir. Appreciate the recommendation, and I'll give it a try.
Okay, please do. Again, that's a Berryman B12 Chem Tool. And again, half tank in town driving, and then run it, and then fill the tank and run another half a tank, and you call me back on the air and let me know how that worked for you. Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate your call.
Thanks, Bobby.
Let's take a call from Washington. Jim in Washington, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. What can I do for you?
Bobby, we talked 3 weeks ago. I have a 2002 Astro van, and it was getting stuck in park.
Yes.
And I would get out and push on it and run with my foot, put a chalk in there, and it rocked just a little bit, and I could get it out.
All right.
And so you asked me to listen for it, you know, as I put it in gear. Are there any sounds or anything in there? There are no sounds. And what I've done in the interim is, if I start it up, and of course my foot's on the brake to release the parking mechanism. If I run the transmission lever, if I run it through all the gears relatively quickly, just back and forth, it seems to have loosened it up. And I haven't had that problem except one time in the last 3 weeks when I put my foot on the brake, and I run it from park all the way to low and back and forth a little bit, and I can feel there's less tension in the shift arm. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, the fact that you can move the lever out of park, not the transmission, forget the transmission. You got to move the lever, which is connected with a physical cable to the transmission. So the fact that you can physically move the lever from the park position helps me to know that the lockout pin is not the problem, because that was I think that was a lack of or miscommunication between us before, because what I wanted you to hear was I wanted you to put your hand on the lever with the vehicle in park, and I wanted you to touch the brake and let off the brake and touch the brake and see if you could hear a little tick, 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 tick. And there is, that does happen. It has to happen, because if the shift lock mechanism wasn't working, you wouldn't be able to pull the stick out of park. So now that, and your problem was the transmission's not coming out of park. So so we know now that it's not. No, I'm sorry,
Bobby.
Yes.
The when I would take the lever, and move it to, it appeared to loosen it up. The transmission was coming out of park, and it didn't seem to lock up after that point, except for one time. It did it a couple days ago, and so the transmission was coming out in this instance.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But again, I thought that the stick wasn't coming out of park. At least that's what I wanted to make sure. So now that we know that the gear shift lever is, that's not the problem. We've got an interview coming up with Daniel Hare and Alicia Bidwell. So Jim, I want you to continue to try what you've done and call me back again, because there's more information that I need from you. Folks, don't go away. Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time, as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have the money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. For example, heater core leaks are an expensive repair and can cost up to $1,000. These sorts of leaks often happen on vehicles that really aren't worth the price of the repair. Your choice is to spend the money or junk the car. Now, there's a third option, K-Seal. Older sealers use sodium silicate, and while it may stop the leak, it may also clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair leaking heater cores without clogging. It's a simple repair. Just shake the container, mix the contents completely, add K-Seal to the radiator directly when the vehicle is cool, and then drive the car until the leak is sealed. Important to remember that when working on a cooling system, never remove a radiator cap while the vehicle's hot. Pressure and heat can be dangerous. Avoid a coolant leak casualty? Try K-Seal. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere, and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. The phones are jammed this morning, and I'll be taking your call soon. But first, GMC and Wilson Sporting Goods engineers are teaming up to explain the importance of aerodynamics on the road and out on the football field. So you might wonder, what do a football and an SUV have in common? Well, both rely on exceptional aerodynamics to perform to their fullest. And the GMC Terrain and Wilson Leather NFL game footballs, respectively, are perfect examples. With the Super Bowl coming next week, folks, I thought that you might be interested and enjoy an insight into the parallel. On the hotline with me now are Alicia Bidwell, GMC Aerodynamic Engineer, and Daniel Hare, Aerodynamic Research Engineer, Advanced Innovation, Wilson Sporting Goods. This is really going to be interesting. Alicia and Daniel, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for having us.
This is a very interesting between the football and an automobile. So, Alicia, I'll start with you. When it comes to engineering design, share with Car Clinic listeners and viewers the common elements that your industry share.
Yes, so basically from an aerodynamic standpoint on the car, we want to try to make the airflow as smoothly as possible around the car, trying not to create any separation or turbulence. Basically, the easiest we can get the car to push through the air, the better. That will allow our customers to see higher fuel economy numbers, so less money for them to spend at the pump. So we try to do this by making as many smooth surfaces as possible, minimizing gaps, things like that, and adding some extra devices to try to help guide the air the best we can down the car, underneath it, and around the sides as well.
So, Alicia, just a 30,000-foot view, how today the design, you mentioned the gaps, what other little small traces or elements or changes in the curves of the GMC vehicles and elements that have evolved as compared to, say, 5 years ago?
So we put a lot of emphasis on trying to keep the styling as bold as possible for GMC, but also providing that performance that our customers want. So we've done things like adding air dams and tire spats in front of the front tires to help guide the air better underneath the car so that it doesn't get trapped up into the chassis components and keeps that smoother air flowing back to the rear of the car. Some of those things are more prevalent now than they were, 5-10 years ago. Also, our vehicles have what they call the aero shutters. So when your engine doesn't need all that extra cooling airflow, it'll block that air and it'll actually allow it to go around the car instead of through the engine compartment, adding more drag.
It makes a lot of sense. We're talking with Alicia Bidwell, GMC Aerodynamic Engineer, and then Daniel Hare is on the line with us now as well. He is the Aerodynamics Research Engineer, Advanced Innovation for Wilson Sporting Goods. Daniel, much like automotive design, aerodynamic engineering is critical out on the football field. How does your team work to develop a football that cuts through the air?
Absolutely. We do a lot of research when it comes to wind tunnel testing, computational fluid dynamics, also known as CFD. We also do infield testing and motion capture systems. So we want to see the ball in its real environment out there on the field, quarterbacks throwing, wide receivers catching, and get a feel for how the ball actually behaves. So we can make tweaks to the designs to kind of feature on laces, valves, the pebbling, the shape of the ball itself, and kind of tweak aspects here and there, and then do comparative testing and try to aim for as much improvement as possible.
So that begs a question. There has to be a specification in college, and of course, first, is a football for collegiate use and NFL the same?
No, they are not. The rules dictate a little bit differently between the two different models. Traditionally, the collegiate and the collegiate and the high school ball tend to be slightly smaller in a small circumference, or a little bit skinnier in the hand, whereas the NFL ball is a little more full, as dictated by the rules.
So Daniel, then your team, when you talk about fluid dynamics, your team adjusts or changes the surface of the football and can still fall under the specifications of the league?
Absolutely. That's the name of the game. That's where, within our team, comparing to the rules, what's allowed, and then we try to strive for the most amount of improvement. So anything that we can tweak as far as what's dictated is kind of fair game. There is no technical upper limit for performance, as you would possibly see in golf or maybe tennis or something like that. So it's kind of a wide open field as long as you fall within the lines of a football is a football. So that's kind of our goal from our engineering team. I
find that very interesting. And folks, just think about it. And in fact, we have the Super Bowl coming up. So when you think about the football, being thrown 40, 50 yards or even more, certainly the smoother the pass and the powerful and gliding through the air is all important. And then you think about driving your GMC vehicle and the amount of horsepower and or gas mileage that would be increased by having a smooth vehicle that runs through the air. I can see the correlation. I guess my final question that would be, Alicia, for you first, and then Daniel, I want your input as well. We have this big matchup coming in the Super Bowl. So any predictions, Alicia?
Well, I'm not going to try to predict anything, but being from Michigan, I do support Tom Brady, so we'll see how he does in yet again another Super Bowl.
He is absolutely over the top. And Daniel, I have to ask you the same question.
We're excited for the big game to get here. It's been a long, fun season, and Wilson is excited for the two best teams to be represented, and we're excited for it.
And last but not least, for our Car Clinic listeners and viewers, a website from you, Alicia, for all the GMC vehicles?
Yeah, so just gmc.com. You can go and check out all the lineup of GMC vehicles on that.
And Daniel, for Wilson?
It'll be wilson.com, and you can find our full lineup of footballs as well as all of our sports.
Well, I sure thank you. It's very interesting to bring this information forward, and we all look forward to the game. And folks, when you're watching Brady throw that ball, you just think about Wilson. And when you're going to go to the football game, you're thinking about getting a new GMC that will smoothly get you through to the game. Daniel Hare, Alicia Bidwell from Wilson and from GM Assembly, I thank you for your time. It was fun, and I'd love to have you back on the air. Thanks for coming on Car Clinic today.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, when you drive into the game, I'd like to see a GMC, Fabio, a GMC. I can see it in my mind is what I was saying. I can see the GMC, and then on top you mount a Wilson football. You could call it the Wilson edition. Hey, maybe we started something there. Well, let's finish. Let's take a call from Jerry in New York. Jerry, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Connect. Thanks for holding.
Oh, good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
I'm returning a call that I made to you about 6 months ago on an 05 Dodge Grand Caravan 3.8 with an extended crank problem.
Okay.
And I ordered a set of rebuilt Simon's fill injectors and replaced them all, solved the problem. Check engine light went out, and it passed inspection.
That is amazing. So the extended crank then, what you think that must have been flooding? They were leaking injectors?
I think primarily one cylinder. Yes, I knew it was running rich because it would smell terrible when it did fire up.
I got you.
Yes, I think it was number one cylinder. I'm pretty sure because of the way the spark plug looked. So I just replaced them all, and once I had to turn them off and solve the problem, and I wanted you to know.
Well, I really appreciate that, and that's unusual. There are so many chemicals that we use to clean injectors, because here's the challenge, for us, Jerry. If you came into my shop and I had a single injector, and how many miles on this vehicle?
Well, I'm driving it this morning. It's got 193. I happen to be a mailman. At that time, I worked on it a year trying to solve the problem. So it had several thousand, maybe 20,000 less when I started with the problem.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that we have to consider is the amount of the repair. Or how much is it, you know, so what's wrong? Well, you have number 6 injector that's bad. Well, how much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to cost that plus the 5 other injectors. Well, why? They're okay. I mean, if you had a tire that blew out, that was damaged on the road or worn out because it wore out, would you replace them all? And we in the industry, there's a fine line between, do you replace one or do you replace all? And with regard to coils, I'm thinking more toward coils than I am the injectors, because we get so many cars. Ford, for instance, the Ford coils are notoriously known for it going bad. And Toyota has a few coils in there every now and then. And without exception, we'll do one, and then 2 weeks later or 2 months later, that customer will come back in. So my car's misfiring again. You know, it doesn't run right, and the check engine light's on. Well, it's number 4 this time. Well, then it's number 6. So, you know, there's a delicate balance between that. Now, because you diagnosed this, with congratulations, and because you're doing the work yourself, and because you had to pull the plenum, which is the top of the motor, to get to the injectors, hats off to you for replacing all the injectors. Did you change the oil and filter when you finished?
I can't remember specifically if I did or not. I do my own work.
Okay.
And I bought a set of these rebuilt injectors online, eBay, for like less than $100.
Wow.
So that was one reason I decided to just replace them all.
Wow.
Obviously, they're far more expensive than that.
I'm glad that you called me back. I really appreciate that, and that's great information. And yes, I would have replaced all the injectors. I'm not sure about. I wouldn't have bought them online, but that's neither here nor there. That's a different situation. But it's really great that you called me and gave me the other side of your story. That way, I can help someone else that may have an 05 Dodge Caravan that has a long starting. And folks, that was Jerry's problem. Crank, and it was slow to light off. And flooding is exactly what would cause that. And I thank you so much, Jerry, for your feedback.
Take care. Enjoy your program. It's like going back to automotive school to listen to you on Saturday morning.
Okay, thank you, my friend. There you go. Well, you know, as I said earlier, if you have an 06 or 7, 05 Mercedes with an oil leak, the Mercedes-Benz manufacturer has come up with a new seal kit for that. But to get to that seal, it's like going down to the foundation of a building. You have to remove the intake manifold, remove the oil cooler, remove the top half of the engine, and to get to it. And it's about a 20-hour job just to stop the oil leak. But at the end of the day, not only did you stop the oil leak, you've upgraded the engine, and now it can go another 100,000 miles. I'll come back. We'll take more questions at 888 Car Clinic. Being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can strain your automobile. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Winter means shorter days and longer nights. It's a great time to make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly, and don't forget to make sure your headlights are properly aimed. This item is often overlooked. The best way to warm up your engine in the winter is to drive gently at the start. Make sure your ice scraper and snow brush are accessible, and replenish your emergency kit. Jumper cables, a flashlight, blankets, extra clothes, bottled water, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit with any medication that may be needed. It may seem like a lot, but better safe than sorry. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So I want to finish the story that I started as I was going into the break. And it's about a Mercedes diesel and the fact that these Mercedes diesels do leak oil from the oil cooler. And the oil cooler is a panel, aluminum panel, device that's about 10 inches long and 5 inches wide, roughly, and bolts onto the top of the engine. Of course, you have to get down to the valley of the engine, which is machined, and this cooler bolts onto it with a lot of screws. There are 4 ports, so there are 4 O-rings, and those ports, 2 of those ports are for water, and which flows through the cooler, through its tubes, and then 2 of the other ports are the in and out for the oil from the engine that flows through this cooler. This cooler's seals leak, and they don't leak the water because water doesn't leak as easily as oil. The oil leaks. In fact, the oil, if the block didn't have a drain hole in the back, the oil would fill up the V, and then when you stop the car, it would run forward and spill over onto the belts and possibly be dangerous or fire hazard. So what the engineers did, which a lot of blocks have this, the engineers, there's a web at the back of the block, way down in the valley there. And the web is for strength. For the left side and the right side of the V block is cast together. So they drilled a hole about 3/8 of an inch in the lower area of that web, which doesn't affect the hole. It's like a girder on a bridge. You can have holes which lightens the assembly, but still allows for the strength and rigidity of the girdle. Now, having said that, when the oil leaks, it'll reach a certain level, which is kind of a puddle in there, and it will run out the back of the block down onto the transmission, and it looks like the rear main seal's leaking. So the moral of the story is, anytime your car, whether it's a Mercedes diesel or not, has an oil leak, the leak, gravity doesn't run uphill, so the oil's going to run downhill. So you never replace an oil pan gasket or something on the bottom first if you see that the oil is running down. You always stop the oil leak from the top. The reason this is important for you to know is because so many times people would come in and have their valve covers replaced because we saw the valve cover was leaking because it would run down, and then 2 months later come back would have the same problem, but it wasn't the same problem, the same symptom. The oil would be dripping off the pan as it did when it ran down, and the oil would be dripping off the pan if the pan were leaking. This likewise, but you would never replace the pan gasket first. the optimum thing to do is to clean it all and re-drive it, and that takes extra time. And so many times people aren't willing to put the time in, and shops aren't demanding of the time to properly diagnose it. So last but not least, I want to share a story about this same car and batteries. The owner, this car has 99,000 miles on it. It's an 06 Mercedes diesel SUV. So the owner says while you have the car, the battery in it is old and it just doesn't crank the way it used to. So he knows, because this gentleman also owns a large boat, and he's very familiar with mechanical things, because I know for a fact he does his own boating repairs. A really sharp guy. He knows a thing or two. The bottom line is, we put a battery in it, and my team came to me and said, well, what would you put in the car? Well, we chose the AGM battery. And this AGM is a power frame battery, and you've heard me speak of the Johnson Controls, which is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. And the reason I chose the power frame AGM batteries, because it's built to power start-stop technology and backup cameras and entertainment systems and all the other electrical demands of today's vehicles, especially the diesels that have the glow plugs when you first start, and of all the backup accessories as well. You can learn more about batteries for your car at autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com. And folks, before you buy your next battery, regardless of what you drive, go to powerframe.com and compare the grid of a power frame grid with a conventional battery, the book mold battery, and you'll see why I'm recommending that battery and why I put the power frame AGM battery in my own customer's vehicle this past week. We'll take another call. Go to New York. Ron, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Well, how you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, not bad. Yeah, my question refers to a 95 Yukon full-size SUV.
Okay.
On the driver's door inside, you have the control for your left and right mirror, up and down. Well,
yes, sir. Right.
Not
all
working.
together. Yeah. So what's a problem, or what's the issue?
Problem is it's not moving the mirrors.
Neither mirror.
Right.
Well, the chances of you having two bad mirrors is way far and few between. The chances, what's common to those mirrors is that switch. So that switch could be bad. The first thing that you'd want to do is to check the fuse panel to see if there is a fuse that is specific to that circuit. Have you done that?
No.
Well, not that I'm encouraging you to get into the electrical components of your own vehicle, but certainly you can check the fuses and look in your owner's manual to tell you where the fuse box is. And there could be more than one. There will be more than one. One under the hood and one under the dash. So you want to check for the electric mirrors, and it's possible, Ron, that power is going to be on another circuit. And if so, you won't know that because it could be interior lights, or it could be backup mirror or a camera. I mean, I really don't know, but without looking at the diagram. But just to tell you that what the first thing for you to do is to look in the owner's manual. Do you have the owner's manual?
Yes.
Okay. Look in the owner's manual back in the back under technical wherever it's listed, and see if there is a circuit that is specific to the mirror. Now we know that there is, but I'm just saying you may not see that mirror, and if you don't see the mirror, then you'll have to take it to a shop and they have to check for power to the switch, because if you had a simple fuse that's blown, which you could have, then that switch is not getting its current. Also, that switch has a left and right. I'm sure that you tried both left and right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say check the fuse. Check your owner's manual to check the fuse, and if it's not specifically listed, then go to a service shop, and they will use a DVOM, a digital volt ohm meter, and physically check the switch by pulling the switch out to see if it has power going to it. Any other questions?
That's good. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your patience, and always great to hear from you there in New York. I thank you so much, and have a great 2018, sir.
Yep, you too, Bobby. Bye,
I appreciate that. It's really cool. Never met these people. Never met him, but I have a connection, and that's what I think. That's the hot button for me. What drives me, it gives me a purpose that I feel like that I've helped you and shared with you information, and this is what I do. And when I'm not on the air, I'm in the shop, and not hands-on. Although I can't say that because this week I've been relatively hands-on. Let's go to Texas and take a call from Bob. Bob, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bob?
Hey, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Bobby.
That's okay.
I appreciate it.
No problem. What can I do for you?
Well, I just bought a few days ago a brand new 2018 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 5.3.
Okay.
Is there any type of additive that I can use to reduce the wear on the engine or anything like that?
Okay. Here's what I do in my car. I use synthetic oil in my engine. I change it every maximum I've gone is 7,000 miles. Yeah, 7,000 miles. So my hot button is 6,500 miles. I usually go 65, and then that guilt kicks in. It does, and because
no, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, but hey, literally, Bob, I know I could go 10,000 miles, but what I do, of course, I'm in the shop in the triage every day, so I pull about once every month or so when I'm washing my engine. I'll pull the oil filler cap off and look down in the cams, which are very noisy, by the way, in this engine, and to see how clean the interior of my engine is, and because I've just looked at another customer's car that wasn't clean, and I want to make sure mine doesn't get that way. And I use synthetic oil, and I change it every 7,500 max. So that's the first thing that I would do. And your car has synthetic oil. It came with Dexos, which is GM's specification. So in order for you to use an aftermarket oil brand, which is perfectly fine, you'll have to choose a brand that meets and or exceeds Dexos, and Mobile One is one of those oils. In fact, GM doesn't make oil, so even though theirs is Dexos, I don't know what brand, but it could be different brands, but it will be their specifications. So I would do that. With regard to, and here's my question, your car has direct injection, your engine does, I presume, because almost all.
I believe it does, yes.
Okay, therein lies your biggest challenge, and it's one that is going to be a challenge no matter what I tell you, and here's why. The PCV system causes an oil slick in the upper plenum chamber of your engine and on the ports. The injectors and the old port injectors used to wash a lot of that oil away that collected on the back of the intake valves, because the valves are hot, and when you turn the engine off, Bob, the oil that's on the valve from the valve guide coats and creates a layer of debris, deposit, layer by layer by layer. You cannot stop it. The fact that it has direct injection means that now the fuel doesn't even go around the intake valve to get into the piston, because it is directly squirted into the piston. So the back of the valve never gets cleaned. And to that end, the aftermarket industry, and even GM condones this, and I don't know the person that does at GM, except I know that their shop techs know this. About every 15 to 20,000 miles, the intake plenum should be cleaned and purged using a chemical. But the dealer won't do it, and more than likely you won't feel comfortable paying someone to do it because the engine still runs well. My car, I clean my injectors at 25,000 miles, and it's due now at 50,000 miles. Well, not the injectors, the intake ports and the back of the valves with a procedure. and that procedure is called induction system service. So that should be done, and the dealer will do this for you, but I would absolutely talk to the technician who's going to perform the service for you to make sure that that technician understands it is a fogging process that should be performed every 15 to 20,000 miles. And then after that process, the vehicle has to be driven no less than 10 miles, because although it's a fogging, liquid will build up inside the plenum during the procedure, and that liquid could hydraulic the engine. So there, and I don't want to put a little fear in you, but I want you to know that that is the single biggest issue that you will have with that vehicle, other than changing the fluids and doing all the regular maintenance so you can follow GM's guidelines, but you won't find what I'm telling you anywhere in any book. You'll have to find it from someone who's been there and done that on a regular schedule. And just for you to know, Bob, GM's had so many problems with their V6 engines that we had one in here at 38,000 miles that was misfiring on 2 different cylinders. And it would misfire on 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3. It was the most random vehicle, and we spent a week on that vehicle, and I'm sad to say we did not fix that engine, because that engine had to be taken apart to be cleaned, and you don't want that to. Now, I don't think you'll have that problem because the V8s are not as susceptible to that carbon buildup as this V6 engine was. But that's the only thing that I can share. Any questions?
Well, I'm curious. I wonder, did the 2014 Dodge V6 have that same problem? Because I noticed one day, that's what I had before this, that there was oil, and this was, oh gosh, I only had about 30-something thousand miles on it. And I noticed there was oil on my garage floor, so I took it in, and they said, well, there was oil in the plenum, so they had to clean it all out.
Right. Exactly. Did
Dodge have that same problem?
Yeah, all manufacturers that use direct injection had that same problem. And to that end, the 2017 Ford EcoBoost came out not only with the direct injectors that it had its predecessor, it also added port injector to the direct injector and forward injection. And Ford would say, well, this is a better running engine and better control of fuel. But the bottom line, it's, in my opinion, in my experience, they added the port injector to the direct injection so they could wash the back of the valves upon, and I'm not sure how that, I know how it works, I'm just not sure how much fuel is put into the direct injection system along with the port injection, because that's redundance there. It's a double whammy, and the only reason you have port and direct is because you want to wash the back of the valves. I'm out of time, Bob. Thank you for your call. If you need additional information, I'm here every week, 10 till noon Eastern time. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you and I have discussed car repair for years on years. One of the biggest challenges is to know which part to buy when you do repair your automobile. You want to get the best quality, and for that, I recommend Bosch. Bosch, invented for life, makes parts for all of the OEMs. That's all of the car makers. So when you buy a replacement part for your car, it makes sense to buy a part that's been made by the original manufacturer that made the part for the car to start. That would be Bosch. And speaking of Bosch, there's a new Bosch Snow Driver windshield wiper blade that's been tested to perform to minus 20 degrees that provides advanced winter dependability because it cuts through the harshest of the elements, and it's reliable during all of the conditions. For example, it has a specially coated wiping edge that adds adaptation to changes in the winter elements for improved visibility, and it's quick and easy installation with a click-on adapter system. Bosch makes the best parts. For more information, go to BoschAutoparts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning, your name is for